Hi everybody, Coach Steph here for another episode of Think About It Thursday. So this week what I'd like to talk about is promises. So I was reading a book recently and it talked about promises, but not necessarily the promises we make to each other or to others, but the promises we make to ourselves. And it got me to thinking, how often do we promise ourselves we're going to do something or we commit to ourselves? Because I think a commitment to yourself and a promise is kind of the same thing. They're synonymous. And we don't follow through. I promised myself I am not going to have any wine tonight. I am guilty of that one myself. I promised myself I'm going to eat well all week long, and we don't. But what I find interesting, and the more I thought about this promise theory to yourself and how it can really affect you mentally and emotionally, is, I wonder why we believe it's okay to renege on the promises to ourselves, but we really try not to renege on our promises to our friends and our family or work or whatever the case may be, right? If we promise a friend we're going to be there, we know we do everything we possibly can to make sure we can get there, unless there's some dire emergency, right? That's part of our integrity. If you want to be a person who's in integrity, you have to keep your promises, right? And so we place a lot of emphasis on integrity. We place a lot of emphasis on keeping your word, keeping your promise to other people. But we don't talk about the fact that we don't keep our promises to ourselves. And what kind of impact does that have on us when we don't keep our promises to ourselves? Do we end up disappointed in ourselves? Probably. But do we really make a concerted effort, as much as we do to other people, to keep our own promises to ourselves? I'm going to say I'm guilty of saying no, I don't. I make a concerted effort to keep the promises I make to others, but I don't really worry about myself. But that got me to thinking, if I'm going to be in integrity as an individual and as a coach, and I'm going to be keeping my promises to my clients, to my friends, to whomever it may be, I need to keep my promises to myself too, right? So your action for this episode of this week's Think About It Thursday is, what have you promised yourself that you have not fulfilled or you've reneged on? And what promise can you make to yourself today? Even if it's a small promise. I promise I'm going to clean off my office desk. I promise I'm going to wash the dishes that are in the sink before I go to bed. Whatever it is, make yourself a promise today and then keep it. Maybe it'll start a trend. Who knows? Hope you have a great weekend. Take care.